So welcome back to the Influencer Program. I'm your host, Mikey. Today's topic is about contracts and getting yourself aligned with the company. This is one of the hardest things, and you're very welcome, because when I started this in 2008, it wasn't even a thing. So it's something that I've come through for the journey, and it wasn't until 2012, 2013, 14 is that influencers then become part of the whole marketing element to it. And so we're going to be talking about that today, because you need to watch your ass when it comes to contracts. Nearly every day I get an offer of people wanting me to do something online, and it's because I have the social media presence in order to make that happen. When you're a nobody, these kind of opportunities don't come easily, and it isn't until you get popular. One of the misconceptions of stuff like this is that you may be a likable person, you may be doing everything right, but you need to prove yourself before a company will take you seriously. And so I know what you're thinking, well, I'm a likable person, but I need that leverage of a company to help me get popular in order to get to where somebody like me may be sitting. And the fact is that you have to do the legwork on your own before that's even being taken seriously. Is that fair? Absolutely. I think that it shows your commitment to that kind of thing, but it's the contracts that are offered to you that can get you into a lot of hot water. And I'm going to share some really personal information. So if you're not interested, just scroll on and I'll be sharing that next. Back in 2011, I nearly got myself into a class action lawsuit against myself and being named as an accessory to commit fraud. How it happened in 2010 is that a company approached me that is no longer in business today, and they should not be anyway, after the bullshit I've been through, is that they asked me to talk about a product, and they said that they would pay me based on the amount of sales. I thought, great, at the time, the crochet crowd was not surviving on its own, so any little bit of cash could help me out. And so I recommended this company, and people started placing their orders. And then about a month later, people started emailing me complaints that they have not received their product. And so I would email the company, which was like a 2-bit operation, and I'd say, why are people not getting their stuff? And they said, oh, we just have a little bit delays. It's going to be out the door really soon. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. And so I would email the person back, and I said, just talk to a company, blah, blah. And wait, 3 months goes by, and hundreds of orders have been placed for the product, and nobody has seen anything. And I keep emailing. I'm like, what is going on? And so every time I email, I'm getting basically bullshit given back to me, saying that, well, they're not, the tooling is down, they didn't get their boxes to be able to ship stuff. And I'm like, this is so interesting. And so then people started filing a dispute with their credit cards and their PayPal. And the company made the most stupidest mistake I've ever seen, is that they decided to email everybody that placed an order a form email saying that they're sorry for the delays, they're working through it, but they never hid anybody's emails, and they put everybody's emails in the to line instead of the blind carbon copy. And so people realized, hundreds of them, that they were all being duped by this company. And myself, because I was recommending it, they were saying that I was part of the accessory to commit fraud. You have to be very careful on who you're connecting with, especially in this realm. So I get, as I mentioned, emails pretty much daily of people wanting me to do this and that and this, and we're going to pay you $5,000 if you post one link of this, or we're going to pay you $200 or this and that. And meanwhile, you don't know who people are online. You don't know if the company is legit. You don't know you don't even know if you're going to bloody well be paid if you even do it. So you have to be very careful that the contracts that you are going to get, you need to read the fine print. One of the best contracts I actually have is with Yarn Inspirations. It's pretty much the only contract because I'm exclusive to them. So with yarnspirations.com, my contract is exclusive. That means that I cannot talk about other yarn products in the social media, which is fine, because there's like 70 brands. And so if I don't like one brand, I can just switch to another. The nice thing about Yarn Inspirations for me in the contract is that I always remain myself, and I be able to make my own decisions that make sense for me. There are certain products that I don't particularly like with Yarn Inspirations, but because of my contract, it allows me to have free thinking, is that I don't need to talk about products that I just don't believe in. So some people really like certain brands, and for myself, that's okay, but I would prefer my Karen 1 pound over this product. And so it's one of those things that in a contract, you have to make sure that you are keeping it somewhat opened in order to not be a spokesperson or an influencer that is going to be trapped by forcing you to say something that you do not believe in. Now, you do see a lot of influencers. I just saw one yesterday that really kind of pissed me off, is that the person is talking about something that is completely irrelevant for what they're doing, and they're getting people to sign up for a service and say, well, this and this and this and this, and you only have to pay $19.99, or like, and it has nothing to do with what they're talking about. But because they have chosen to take a contract or a sponsored post or something like that, and they've decided to inject it in there because ultimately they're just trying to line their pocket. So you have to understand is that in contracts is that sometimes you can get yourself into a whole mess of being forced to say stuff that you just do not believe in, and to get your community to do something that you don't necessarily like. So there are certain products, for example, I really like the paintings behind me. Have you ever heard me talk about these guys? Never. A, they're not a sponsored person. B, it's part of my background, and it's irrelevant for what I'm doing. You have to be very careful on these contracts. You have to be careful on the time frame of it, and also you have to be accountable as well. So you can't just take money from a company and just do the absolute bare minimum to be able to do it, and then they're expecting more from you. Relationships need work. And with my relationship with Yarn Inspirations, the first year it was really tough because we were trying to understand on how each other works. Yarn Inspirations is very corporate, I am very impulsive, and the two worlds collide. So what I had to do is figure out how to work with a corporation, and the corporation how to figure out how to work with me. And so it became part of a learning curve. And you're gonna find that certain contracts, when you get yourself involved with stuff like that, is that it may not work out to the best of everybody's ability. So you have to keep in mind that these contracts, they're hard to get, good ones. And if you can find a good one, sometimes it takes a bit of work in order to figure out your jam with the particular company. And you have to keep in mind some contracts are usually never in your favor to begin with. And so you always have to be open-minded on that. How you find these contracts are really quite difficult. But you just have to keep your head down and keep your brain stabilized. In the very few first years, I kept being promised that I was going to have a segment on a home shopping network. And I thought, oh, that's kind of fun. And so I was going to go through training for that and the whole 9 yards. And it kept getting dropped and dropped and dropped to the point where the next email that came in says, well, we can get you on the home shopping network. It's like, you know what? No, you're not. No, you're not. So you have to be realistic that when people are just telling you stuff that you want to hear versus the reality of what they're willing to deliver. So be very careful on your contracts, and don't ever be afraid to get a lawyer involved to take a look at the fine print. And sometimes the contracts are just nice and easy, simple, that you don't need to go through that process. But certainly if you're going to have something big, make sure that you always have a second opinion. So ultimately, be very careful for your contracts and make sure that you do read the fine print and don't get caught with your pants down, because I know I have several times, and that's just contract wise. See you later.